Hi, everybody. My name is Michelle Fox, and this is the GreenTalk Show. And today I'm so lucky to be chatting with Marisa DeDominicis, and she's the co-founder of Earth Matter New York. Hi, Marisa.
Hi, Michelle. How's it going?
Pretty good. How are you?
Everything's going great. Thank you.
Excellent. So when we talked on the phone, you said to me that composting was one of the most important things people could do. Can you tell me a little bit about why composting is so important?
Sure. I think composting has always been the answer for me ever since I started in like 1983. And it's because it's one of the most basic things that people can do. When I moved out of home, I was able to have my own apartment. I cooked my own food and I had some scraps left over. And it's a way for us to really make an impact because we're in control of what we're doing to help save the planet. When you recycle your food scraps, you're keeping it out of the landfills, you're reducing the methane that is creating the greenhouse gases. And, since we all eat and since we all have food scraps, it's one of the things that we can feel is a basic responsibility that we can take control of to affect the future in the generations that are going to follow us.
I love it. So I'm excited to hear all about Earth Matter New York. Tell me about it.
Sure, it's one of my favorite things to talk about. So around 12 years ago, we formed based on having a volunteer co-op in Fort Greene where we became I don't want to say a victim of our own success, but we outgrew being part of a community composting movement in gardens because we were collecting so many food scraps that we had to go to a place that was bigger so that people can garden in those community gardens and not just have a bunch of compost silos. And we were invited to come to Governor's Island to do an event, which was called the City of Water Day. 10,000 people came, and we set up what we think is the very first zero waste event on Governor's Island, where we had over 25 people that were educating about where to source separate, just recycling basics. And we made our first compost there using the island's leaves as well as people who came and attended the events food scraps. And we've been there ever since for the last 12 years. This will be our 12th year.
Congratulations. That's amazing. Well, we're going to share some photos, and we're lucky to have you narrate these photos. So let me get that up here.
Great. So the first slide that you have here, whoops, is a picture of what we envisioned when we came to the island back in 2009. And that was Zero Waste Island. We started to do these events as volunteers for the first 3 years of our organization's history. We just decided we were a scrappy bunch that were going to set up our own source separation stations. The island was like, you want to call it a cultural event? You want to call it art? You want to call it environment? Anything you want, Marisa, Charlie, and everyone else that was part of Earth Matter, just go for it. So we had painted signs and we set up for events and we got some donations. We got some people from the events that helped us, sponsored us, as well as set up source separation stations on the island. And now in 2020, we have a real team. We have a formal relationship with the island, and it's called the Zero Waste Island Initiative. So the island really works hand in glove with us. They have a workforce program where they bring us the food scraps from the vendors, from the source separation stations on the island, and we have this team that makes sure everything is clean. The contamination rates are phenomenal because of the partnership we have with the Trust for Governor's Island. And we invite volunteers and groups so that they can not only take this home, but they can spread it. So like this year, we're going to start doing green events. So in Green Thumb Gardens, we're going to host a workshop. So if you want to host your own zero waste event, you can learn from our team. And this year, the photo on the right shows you our tricycle that is our, it's like the tin peddler, where we have all kinds of plastics that are made from plants, bioplastics, that we sell to the vendors, again, in partnership with the island, who mandates that anything that comes onto the island has to be either compostable, such as the plates, the forks, even the straws. And then it makes it easier for our team to be able to say, yep, it all will break down in our thermophilic piles.
Wow. I love this. Tell me about this photo.
Alrighty, so we're moving right along to where in 2012 we started to have a partnership with the city, and the New York City Department of Sanitation has a piece of their programming called the Compost Project. And we have a food scrap drop off. In the photo to the right, you'll see our councilwoman, Margaret Chin, along with the island representative, Sarah, and then the Grow New York City market manager. So, and our team, we set up every Tuesday at Bowling Green, and people from the neighborhood, the residents, drop off their food scraps, and we trek them over to our island, which is only about a quarter of a mile away. Goes over on the ferry, 8-minute ride, trike down Buttermilk Channel, and we have a flock of chickens that we feed with our food scraps, who are our number one educators, because our mission really is about educating people so that they too can feel like, we're not saying it's easy, but you can do it too. And so sometimes people start by saying, oh, I want to feed the chickens. And so they start bringing us food scraps in that way. And then before you know it, they're like, I can't throw these food scraps away. And that's our hope and dream, is that we all are part of the cycle. We're all recycling our food scraps, and we all recognize that that's what we have to do. It's a step in the right direction to helping us with global warming and to lessen our carbon footprint a lot easier than buying a tree in Brazil. Our closed loop circle on Governor's Island is to show the application of composting and how we nurture the plants. And the photo on the right is volunteers. And we also have an apprenticeship program. And the two photos on the right, one of them on the bottom is two Peruvians, and on the top is a Native American. So we have 10 different cultures that are represented in our heritage bed farm. And we just started that last year. And the goal is that we can be able to show the interconnectedness that we have in this, a way for us to come together, not only through recycling food scraps, but by sharing our cultural differences and what we have in common together. So by tasting, by growing, by interacting with each other, we are going to be very excited to have the Peruvians do a terraced farming demonstration. And up on top, we have Aru showing how she had done this amazing ceremonial work about how the First Nations of the United States were doing a lot of medicinal herbs, as well as the Three Sisters. And so we were just learning a lot from these farmers and exchanging. So I just wanted a shout out to that project. All right. And over here we have a photo showing what we do on work days. We have different work days throughout the year, unless it's below 30 degrees or, hurricane weather. We make compost. This is our apprenticeship program. We are starting a cohort of a baker's dozen, 13. I'll start next month. And they are an intensive program where they're learning about how to make compost to bring it back to their community. So we have volunteers that can come once. They can come to volunteer at a zero waste event. There's a lot of different ways that they can participate. Here now during COVID, we are limiting it to 20 people, and we socially distance. And the picture on the left is showing how we manage compost piles throughout the time that the apprentices come every Saturday.
Great. And what's this photo?
This is an outgrowth of one of our two of our apprentices, and they wanted to stay involved, and they came up with a design for the lavender field. As you can see, there's Buttermilk Channel in the distance, and this field is next to an old wall that was made like 1812, and there's a field of over 500 plants. And every year it's been blooming It's about 5 years old now, this project. And what you see in the right, we can have a sea of purple. People can come. We say that it's open always, so that whenever the island is open, which is, I think this year going to be May until the end of October, people can sit under the tree. They can look out. They can smell the lavender. We have different activities such as harvest your own bouquet, and we're going to be having a lavender festival, which will be a 2-day festival in May, and it's just really a thing of beauty. And two people, Sarah and Hollis, are dedicated volunteers that manage that field. So shout out to all the people that have been part of our organization for so many years and have given in so many different ways. I can't count.
I'm incredibly impressed. I These programs are incredible. They pull together everything that I love, which is community, New York City, environmentalism, events. What a great job! And I'm so excited because I didn't even know this was on Governor's Island, and I'm excited to visit. I'm excited about the lavender fields, and I'm excited. I would love to volunteer. So, where can people learn more?
Well, thanks, Michelle. We'd love to have you. We have signups on our website, earthmatternewyork.org, and we're closed now unless you register for a volunteer event. But once the island is open, we're open on Saturdays and Sundays for visitors just to drop in. You can come and check out our goats, you can come and check out our chickens, or you can give us a hand down on the farm or in the lavender field. So we'd love to have you, Michelle, and we really appreciate you giving us this opportunity to let people know about the work we do.